Dr. Priya E. Maman, she said it best. While it takes profound courage and unwavering dedication to show vulnerability, it is the fear of being punished for perceived weakness that keeps us silent. That's where I really have to commend Simone. She has to deal with that, and she's coming out on the other side better than she was before, hopefully, and doing that while still big upping her teammates.
That's very eloquent, but to be less eloquent, like, man, just wash the melted ice cream out your shirt and go do something better with your life if you out here criticizing her, bro. Like, wipe the breadcrumbs off your pants, turn off the Netflix, and be better before you're out here criticizing somebody that's actually doing it, that's walking the walk.
Let me put you on game.
But let's talk Simone Biles. Simone Biles, if you're not familiar with her, is the most decorated gymnast of all time. She's the all-time leader in world medals. And the story behind her recently is that she's been dropping out of events, citing the pressure of the moment. And also, she says she's been experiencing something called the twisties. And the twisties is a gymnast term for when the athlete feels like their mind and body are not in sync. So she's essentially feeling like she's getting lost in the air during her jumps, like she's not able to locate herself in order to land effectively. And that can cause serious injury. She posted a video recently where she tried a 1.5 twist and she landed on her back. So she's clearly struggling with that. And she said, I don't think you realize how dangerous this is on hard / competitive surfaces. There was also another gymnast, Jacoby Miles. She said in an Instagram post that she actually only had the twisties once, but she's now actually paralyzed after getting them midair and breaking her neck. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, it's a really, really serious affliction. Like, it's probably not serious to us because we're not jumping and flipping in the air all the time.
Yeah.
But for a gymnast, like, where that's your livelihood is pretty much dependent on your ability to locate yourself in the air and land effectively, it can be very detrimental. So I don't know if I'm not sure if it's like the yips in golfing or other sports or how it works or what causes it, but that's what she says she's suffering from, along with dealing with the pressure of competing at that level. So there's been a lot of backlash from other people questioning her her mental fortitude, her mental toughness, and calling out her privilege and all these other things. So I wanted to get your opinion on the situation, how you felt about what Simone is dealing with and how you feel about the backlash that she's getting for her decision to drop out of these events.
This situation it's really fascinating. I think that it kind of leans on a conversation that we had earlier about athletes and mental health. And her situation is kind of exemplary of the mental health state across our country, where a lot of people are dealing with mental health issues and not knowing how to navigate it correctly, or not knowing the right time to navigate it, and just feeling this immense amount of pressure that manifests itself in the performance of their daily activities. It's one thing to feel, some depression because you lost competition, or to be down because you're not performing at the level that you would like to, but it's another for it to be so detrimental to your state of mind that you could either injure yourself, hurt yourself, or you're just downright not able to lace up. And when you have that much of a block on you, you need to prioritize figuring it out and talking to somebody that can help you through it. I really applaud her toughness, because she has done all these amazing things in the Olympics so far, and has shown up and showed out in world events, have broken all these records, has all these endorsements that she meets the obligation to. She talks to the media. She's there for her teammates. Even though she dropped out of some of the competition, she showed up, taking selfies, congratulating her teammates, big upping them at every opportunity that she gets. She's gotten all the accolades. She wears a leotard with the GOAT on it. And she has done almost all that you can expect someone who's a superstar like herself to do. But she just got to a breaking point where she realized, like, there's something wrong here and I got to step away from the game right now. To me, it reminds me of when Michael Jordan stepped away from the game and after the 93 season. He had all this pressure. He had the whole world on his neck. And and then his father passed away. So he had all of this that he was dealing with. The three-peat, it seemed like more of a sigh of relief than it was happiness and, jubilation. Then his confidant and almost best friend, his dad passes away, and he realizes, you know what, I was already considering taking a step away from the game and, doing something that I actually enjoy and that I can have passion for in baseball. And he took the opportunity. And I think that was essentially, because we didn't have the language to talk about it back then, that was essentially Michael kind of looking out for his best mental health. Realizing that, man, like this is not making me happy. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting angry. You guys are like trying to attack me at any point you get. I have the whole world on my shoulders, and I just want to go back to, feeling what it was like to just be one of the guys in the locker room, which is one of the things that he said in the Last Dance interview. And so when I compare that to Simone Biles now, I'm like, okay, so these top athletes and these people that we put on these pedestals have this opportunity to do such great things, but it does come at a cost, and they don't always have the appropriate tools around them or support around them to manage and navigate it. And so when it comes to a head like this, I think that she is really courageous for taking the time that she needs. And it's just another example. We're talking about, you have Naomi Osaka, who did the same thing not too long ago. You got guys like Paul George, you got guys like Ben Simmons to a lesser degree, who are not performing well in these big situations, and their mindset and their mind has been like criticized. And it's like, yeah, I think they need some help. I think they need a stronger community. I think they need people to talk to, and they shouldn't be made fun of or ridiculed because of that.
Yeah. I like that you brought up Michael Jordan, because that's kind of been one of the main points that people have been trying to make as far as the winning mentality argument. Like, maybe she just doesn't have the winning mentality like Michael Jordan did. But it's like you said, like, he literally took a break from basketball for his mental health. So this guy that is the poster boy for the winning mentality and winning at all costs, and kind of the Mamba mentality before Kobe, the guy that's the poster boy for all of these things, is someone who's just like the rest of us and struggles with mental health. And Michael Jordan was dealing with a lot of media scrutiny, but this is before the invention of social media. So he said it himself, but can you imagine how much more difficult it would have been for him with the existence of the internet as we know it?
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's a lot of things. It's a lot that she has to deal with them in regards to Simone Biles. Like, I don't think that anyone that's not in her particular position can comprehend the pressure that she's under. Like, she's dealing with the news media, but also dealing with social media. We're in a time now where everyone has an opinion, and everyone's always had an opinion. There's a phrase about opinions and buttholes, or however you want to slice it up. But like, that opinion is now front and center because of the existence of the internet, because of the existence of the 24-hour news cycle. Like, she's hearing all of these opinions all the time. So she's constantly being bombarded with all of this like pressure from what she's actually doing on the mats. But then the pressure that comes from the outside is amplified because of the existence of like how the news works now. So she's constantly aware of what people think about her at all times. So I think we in our own personal lives wonder and on some level care about what people think about us. But could you imagine if you knew everything that everyone thought about you all the time, like how much that would like mess with you? Like, there's a great like little meme that I saw once where you can hear like there's someone laying in bed with like all of these thought bubbles around him, and there's like 100 compliments that he received over the course of the day, and they're all grayed out. But like the one thing that's actually emboldened is someone said like, you can be kind of a jerk sometimes. And that's the one thing that's keeping him up at night, and not the millions of things that people will say. So Simone Biles is like being one of the most decorated gymnasts of all time. She receives a ton of praise, but I believe it is human nature to look at that one thing that someone said about you and be like, what does that really mean? Like, do they really think that? Like, am I this? Am I that? Because this person said that. So take that one negative comment and apply it, multiply it by 50 on every Instagram post that she posts, like
Yeah.
that's the world that she's living in. And outside of that world, the people that are criticizing her, like, I can't imagine how crazy it is that people that will never or have never come close to competing at the level that she's competing at, because she is arguably the GOAT at her particular sport, telling her she isn't tough enough. Like,
Yeah.
how do you put yourself in a position to criticize the mental toughness and fortitude of an athlete who's capable of things that you could never dream of doing,
Right.
Like, you have people that can't even meet basic personal goals, like sticking to a diet and an exercise plan for more than like 3 weeks, criticizing one of the greatest athletes who's ever lived. But that's the world that we live in. We live in a world where people who don't have the mental fortitude, or don't have the dedication, or don't have the skill, or don't have the wherewithal to do what she does, telling her that she's not enough, even though they could never be enough. So it's a crazy, I'm like, I applaud her for getting as far and doing as much as she's done. If she needs a break, she just needs a break. Like, that's just the way that it is. Like, the amount of dedication,
Yeah.
the amount of focus that's required to attain her level of proficiency and excellence at her craft, it doesn't come without mental toughness. Like, she's
Yeah.
very extremely mentally tough. So we got to also take that into consideration.
Yeah. And when you think about what she's been through, like, she was molested by that infamous team doctor who is thankfully in jail now for
Yeah.
her childhood and teenage years. She has put her body through the utmost training. The training for the Olympics, I hear, is amongst the hardest things that you could ever do. What
Yeah.
you have to put your body through just to get to the point of qualifying for the Olympics, not only to, and then to win gold. It's out of our scope of understanding, because she's elite. And when it comes to the people who are the most elite at things, they are capable of not just having the talent, but also just the grit to get through and to just really grind it out.
Yeah.
And imagine you getting to the biggest stage of your life and you deciding, hey, I am so, what she's going through is so difficult that at this stage where she has the whole world on her shoulders and she feels that weight, and but not only that, is that this is what she dreams of doing, and she decides, I can't do this right now.
Yeah.
Imagine how much that would hurt, her internally, to deal with something like that.
Especially considering how the Olympics works. Like, it's once every 4 years. Like, if she could compete, she would. Like, she's spent the last 4 years preparing for this moment. Like, you don't think it means something to her?
Exactly. Like have compassion for the fact that she's sacrificing something, but it's for the greater good. And I love a quote that she had recently on Twitter, where she said, the outpouring love and support I received has made me realize I'm more than my accomplishments and gymnastics, which I never truly believed before.
Wow.
Like, let that sink in for a moment. She thought that she was just her accomplishments and her accolades, nothing more. And so without that, who is she? Just some girl,
Yeah. That makes the criticism that much more loud. Like, if you're being criticized for what you do, because if you think that's all you are, then it makes it hurt that much more.
And the double-edged sword that comes with, because at some point, every Olympic star and athlete kind of fades out of our consciousness and our relevancy. And so if all she has is this outward ego of everybody else validating me because of my gold medal, and that kind of dissipates and that fades into obscurity, who does she now become as a 40-year-old, 50-year-old athlete? Does she still hold herself in high esteem and in high regard, or does her self-esteem come with just the praise and adoration of others and not lie within herself? And if that happens, we've seen how that breaks down athletes mentally later on, where they're not able to cope with the fact that they're no longer the superstar because they got all this external validation, and they were never able to have the conversation with someone to say, hey, you're more than what you do on in your sport. You're way more than that. You are a valued person. You are a loved person. You are worthy of community. You are worthy of being treated well, whether or not you accomplish all of the goals that you set out to accomplish.
Right. Exactly.
And
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, finish up.
Yeah, and I think that this one article I was reading, Dr. Priya E. Maman, she said it best. She said, while it takes profound courage and unwavering dedication to show vulnerability, it is the fear of being punished for perceived weakness that keeps us silent. And that's where I really have to commend Simone, because she has to deal with that, but ultimately she is dealing with it, and she's coming out on the other side better, than she was before, hopefully, and doing that while still big upping her teammates. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no doubt. That's very eloquent, but to be less eloquent, like, man, just wash the melted ice cream out your shirt and go do something better with your life if you out here criticizing her, bro. Like, wipe the breadcrumbs off your pants, turn off the Netflix, and be better before you're out here criticizing somebody that's actually doing it, that's walking the walk, rather than you just talking the talk, man. Because she's an elite athlete, by all accounts, a great person doing her best. Like, that's all you can ask for, especially her being a person of color. Like, we strive, we want so desperately as a people to see our people do well. So when someone like her is actually doing that and doing it at the highest level, like, she deserves all of the praise, and nothing that she's done thus far deserves any kind of criticism. So let her rock, let her do what she do.
Big facts, bro.